Welcome to Just the Facts for the 2022 U.S. midterms. My name is Brian Barsoon. In this series, I'll be covering each candidate's policies and positions, and so you can see what they're campaigning on. And if you stick around to the end of the video, I'll give you my thoughts on it. I'll have timestamps for each candidate, where it starts, and then so if you just want to click on one particular one, you can just move ahead to that candidate's on the timestamp. But I recommend that you listen to both sides and their positions so you can have a clearer understanding of what they're campaigning on for this upcoming election. And like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. And like I said, at the end, I'll give you my thoughts. So if you stick around long enough and if that's important to you, I'll give you my thoughts. But I always start off with the incumbent. So in this case, this will be Kathy Hochul. So this is her website here, kathyhochul.com. And just going down here, she was appointed governor by when Andrew Cuomo had to step down over his allegations. So just these are her priorities. So starting out with the economy and jobs, take a look here. She's determined to fight for working families, grow our state's small businesses, ensure that New York's economy emerges from COVID stronger than ever before. So gives a little bit of her backstory, but so for the middle class, she wants to accelerate $1.2 billion in middle class tax cuts for 6 million New Yorkers, provide $100 million in relief for nearly 200,000 small businesses, delivering $1 billion in property tax rebates for more than 2 million New York families, making affordable childcare accessible to 100,000 more working families, and investing $75 million to raise childcare worker wages. So that's for her economy. And for healthcare, obviously talking about the pandemic that's been going on. What she wants to do is took the reins from the worst crisis of our lifetimes and commit $10 billion investment to grow New York's healthcare workforce by 20% over the next 5 years. So she wants to increase the healthcare workforce and make sure that they're paid properly for that. So the largest investment in healthcare in state history includes more than $4 billion to support wages and bonuses for healthcare workers. Obviously, they've been overworked, so she wants to compensate them accordingly. Then on public safety and justice, let's take a look here. She talks about increased gun violence, tens of millions of dollars in grants to community and hospital-based violence intervention programs that work to reduce firearm-related incidents through mediation, mentoring, and community engagement, and understands our communities are stronger and safer when every member has the opportunity to contribute, and is committed to creating pathways to reduce recidivism, which is people going into jail in and out of the system. And she wants to create a new jail to jobs initiative to ensure incarcerated people have the support they need to find employment during reentry. So that's covering that aspect. Reproductive rights. She is obviously pro-abortion, being a Democrat, with lawmakers and judges throughout the country rolling back access to abortion, referring to Roe v. Wade. Governor Hochul will ensure that New York remains a national leader in protecting reproductive rights. Let's take a look here, see what else she wants to do. Work has affirmed reproductive rights and cemented New York as a safe haven for all people seeking care. As part of these efforts, she has directed state agencies to coordinate a statewide public information campaign, including developing a patient bill of rights to make New Yorkers aware of their rights and legal protections. And she's obviously, I would say pro-choice, but pro-abortion is the better term. She's for the women's right to choose. So as she has done throughout her career, Governor Hochul will continue fighting for reproductive rights and will work to ensure without a doubt that those seeking care in New York will be protected. When it comes to the environment, she's implementing the nation's most aggressive plan to combat climate change and create good-paying, clean energy jobs, working tirelessly to ensure that New York is a global leader in the fight against climate change. She will continue enacting policies to protect our communities and the next generation of New Yorkers from the growing threats of climate crisis. And for housing, in the midst of a pandemic and rising housing prices, Governor Hochul acted swiftly to expand access to affordable housing and keep New Yorkers in their homes. And it's also enacted significant measures to expand access to affordable housing, prevent evictions, which was the eviction moratorium. I don't know if it has it has been rescinded now, but for most of the pandemic, you were not allowed to be evicted from your home because of the pandemic, everything going on. So she has launched a comprehensive 5-year housing plan to invest $25 billion to create and preserve 100,000 affordable housing units, including 10,000 units with supportive services for vulnerable New Yorkers. So those are just some of her key talking points from her website. And I'll give my personal thoughts and opinions about this candidate at the end of this video. But now just moving on to the next candidate, which is on the Republican side, which is Lee Zeldin. So here we have Congressman Lee Zeldin's website, which is zeldinfornewyork.com. And you can see his homepage here, and we'll go right to the issues. His issues are securing our streets, protecting your wallets, defending your freedoms, fighting for our kids, reforming our government, honoring our veterans. We'll start with securing our streets. These are all I won't go through all of these, but he has public safety, correctional facilities, and victims. He wants to repeal cashless bail and Less is More Act. So currently there is cashless bail for a lot of offenders, and he wants to repeal that. Remove district attorneys who don't enforce the law. That has to do with the first bullet point. Give judges discretion when setting bail. Enact a law enforcement bill of rights. Keep qualified immunity. For correctional facilities, set prison populations based on crimes committed instead of political calculations. Repeal the Halt Solitary Confinement Act. Provide economic assistance to communities affected by closures. Hire more correctional officers and improve the ratio to inmates. And appoint a new New York State Director of Correctional Facilities Commissioner. Commission of Violence Study in New York State prisons that would also identify additional recommended improvements. And then he also has, under victims, overhaul Board of Parole hiring process, require unanimous decisions by parole commissioners when granting parole, and enhance notification of parole board hearings. And there's a few others there that you can list here, but just want to keep moving forward here to the next topic, protecting your wallets, which has to do with the economy. Cutting taxes, energy costs, and bad regulations, creating good-paying jobs, safely extracting natural resources, and much more. So Congressman Zeldin continues to fight to make New York more affordable for everyday New Yorkers by cutting taxes across the board. He wants to get rid of job-killing regulations. He wants to create good-paying jobs, suspending the gas tax, slashing wasteful spending, reinstating automatic inflation indexing to avoid bracket creep, and much more. And he wants to increase energy production by extracting natural resources and approving new pipelines. New jobs would be created. Our state would become more energy independent. New revenue would be generated, and it would help lower energy costs. So that's for energy. And going to defending your freedoms. He wants to end all COVID-19 mandates, enacting voter ID, protecting your right to self-defense, and more. So he wants to end all mandates that have been going on in the state, repealing the Unconstitutional SAFE Act, according to him, reinstating the religious exemption for all vaccines, protecting your right of free speech, taking on big tech, reopening any still closed state buildings, and more. And going to fighting for our kids. So he is a father of two school-age girls. Congressman Zeldin understands how important it is to give all students access to quality schools. So he wants to lift the cap on charter schools to protect and expand advanced and specialized education, expand and improve technical job training, which is there's traditional schooling, and then there's technical job training, which is like your HVAC work, electricians, plumbers, just so you have that for an example. Improve school safety, support homeschooled children, promote more civics in the classroom, educate kids more about the U.S., teach students about the Holocaust. He is a Jewish man, so he wants to obviously teach students about that happened, achieve unfunded mandate relief, and so much more. And so reforming the government, establishing term limits, overhauling JCOPE, fighting for accountability of Cuomo's deadly nursing home order and cover, and so much more. So the JCOPE is Joint Commission on Public Ethics, and he wants to deliver accountability for what he believes is the Cuomo-Hochul administration's deadly nursing home order and cover-up, creating the Empire State Budget Office to provide nonpartisan, objective, and impartial analysis of prospective legislation, strengthening New York's freedom of information law by creating a strong automatic presumption of approval, ending three persons in a room approach of governance, and wants to put the power back into the legislatures at the state level. And finally, honoring our veterans. He wants to eliminate veteran homelessness, and he wants to make permanent the PFC Joseph P. Dwyer Peer Support Program to help veterans, create an interface of the Division of Veteran Services, Department of Veterans Services, and Military Affairs website to easily identify benefits veterans qualify for in the state of New York, and wants to expand treatments and another program for tax-free accounts for veterans, a green alert system for missing veterans and military service members, and improve their quality of life. So those are the main issues for Republican Congressman Zeldin and his bid to be the New York State governor. So I'll be giving my thoughts now at the end of this, just to see who I think will be the winner in this race here. But if you're just watching at the end, thanks for watching. But if you want to stick around, well, I'll give my thoughts here in just a second. Okay, if you're still watching, thank you. I appreciate it. If you made it this long through the video, or even if you skipped around and you were interested in my thoughts, it's greatly appreciated. When it comes to this race, I think there should only be one winner in this, and it should be the Republican Congressman Zeldin. Kathy Hochul, she was not elected. She was appointed the governorship. She was the lieutenant governor under Andrew Cuomo after he resigned for his sexual assault allegations. And she has proven not to be a very good leader, in my opinion. She's led the city down a pretty spiraling path here. There's been huge increases in crime, especially in the city. There's been a number of cases where people have been pushed into the subway and since then have lost their life. Not to mention all the crime across the board has been increasing at a very high, significant rate. And it's part of the reason why I'm not in that state anymore. I used to live in New York. If you're not familiar with that, most people who watch my channel know that, but if not, you didn't. Now you know. That's why one of the reasons why I left is because of her policy. So obviously not a huge fan of her. But I think, Zeldin should win it. Republicans have been governor before, the last one being George Pataki about 15, 20 years ago. And he did a pretty good job for the state, in my opinion. And Zeldin has some good ideas. Obviously, getting rid of cashless bail would be one of them to reduce crime. There's been a number of judges in the state where there's been multiple repeat offenders, talking like dozens of crimes committed in the last several years where they will commit a very serious crime and then they'll be let out with no bail whatsoever. And then literally the next day, they're right back in. So not as in only plugging up the system where they have to constantly be booking these people over and over again, it's also increasing crime and causing a lot of harm to people that are just innocent and want to go about their day. So that's on the crime side. On the economy side, inflation is obviously out of control. I don't even have to explain this to you. You just go look at a gas station price when you're driving to work, when you're watching this or just in general, and you'll see that prices are up all across the board when it comes to food, gas, and even clothes and technology, electronics. That has to do with fuel. Fuel is the backbone of our country. It's the reason why we have the U.S. petrodollar. It's the reason why our country is so prosperous, because we have countries pay in U.S. dollars because it's backed by petro. So without that, without us, creating our own energy, that's why inflation has gone up. That's the little secret that they won't tell you. So if you're wondering why your food's so high and why your gas is so high, it's because we're not making energy. We're not producing oil and natural gas anymore. And Congressman Zeldin wants to change that. And he wants to increase fracking in the state, which is now a safer practice than it was 10 or 15 years ago. And he wants to increase the leasing of land. That has to be done at a federal level, but at the state level, that can be controlled a little bit as well. So he wants to do that. When it comes to reforming the government, he obviously wants to, Republicans want to limit government. They don't want to expand government. So he wants to kind of bring it all into focus and just have it down to the people that are required to be there and not have any excess, government spending, and making sure that the people are there actually want to do their job and actually want to go in and actually participate in the government job that they've been elected. So that's another plus for me. So a lot of pluses for Zeldin. For Hochul, not so much. She wants to do everything the opposite of Zeldin. She wants to keep the mandates. She has been on record in the last, even if you go back and watch the debate, she thinks that it's a conspiracy that crime is up in New York. But anyone with 2 eyes and 2 ears can see what's going on and put 2 and 2 together, that there's a serious crime problem. Even if you don't live in the city, like I said, it's the reason why I left, because I just didn't want to deal with that. So anyway, but she thinks there's nothing wrong with that and has since admitted that multiple times. And even people on MSNBC are calling her out on it, and she has no answer for it. So she was never elected, and I don't think you should vote for her now. So those are my thoughts. If you're still here, thank you for watching. Appreciate it. This is going to be a series, so this will be the first one. It's going to have multiple videos like this coming out right before Election Day. So if you're watching this while you're voting, while you're waiting online, so I tried to make these videos around a short enough time where you could watch it and skip around. And I'm probably not gonna watch the whole video anyway, but at least you can skip around and at least get the views on it. Because if you're like me, I would go up there and half the time I didn't even know their person's policy. So if I can make each side a couple minutes long, so at least you can see what they're talking about, and then you can hear my thoughts at the end. But share this video with your friends if they're going to vote, and get out and vote. It's very important. Whether you vote for the left or you vote for the right, doesn't matter. Just get out there and vote. Exercise your civic duty and your civic right to vote for our elected officials. And thanks for watching again. Take care.